Hello guys, and welcome to another tutorial about Unreal Engine, and this one we're going to talk about a multiplayer game and the basic ideas on how do we achieve that, along with an example of the simple game, which is if you play the game you can see you have a health bar and you have like a number there to show you how much health you have, or this is just going to be a display that you can see whatever you need to see. By the way, my window is not high enough to see those things. Right now we have only one player now. The mechanic is working in single player game, so if I go ahead and hit the other guy, you can see I can deal damage. You can see the amount of health is reducing. Okay, and that's basically the gist of it. All right, now the mechanic is basically in the C++ code. We do is we have the input for not this one, the input for attack, which calls this attack function, right? We go there, and then you can see the attack function basically checking a cooldown boolean to tell us if we're on cooldown. If we're not on cooldown, we can attack, but we make the cooldown equals to true. Then we'll play a animation montage. Okay, now back here to the animation montage. Here in Blueprint, the montage we're playing is this guy. And then when it hits this particular notifier called commit attack in the event graph of the blueprint, when we get the owner, we cast it to the BP sourceman, which is this guy, and we're calling this apply damage function. Okay, now apply damage function will then be this one, apply damage. Okay, I made it blueprint callable so we can actually go there, right? And then in the apply damage, what we do is basically just tracing a box in front of the character, and then use this gameplay statics apply damage to use Unreal Engine's internal apply damage or damage system to deal damage. Okay, now on the character itself, when this is applied, right, with all the overlapped characters in front of my character, they will all be triggered. This one will just trigger this, right? I don't hook them up, but the internal system, the damage system, hook those up. So this will be called on the ones that was overlapped in this overlapping event. Basically, you can get a box, right? I'm using box, right? So for like a 50 box in front of me, right? I'm overlapping with a bunch of actors, and I'm using the internal damage or damage system to deal damage to every actor I'm overlapping with, and the take damage function will automatically be triggered on those actors, which will reduce the health, update the UI, and this function signature is having a float, so I have to return something. So I did return a health, and that's basically the gist of it, right? And one more thing is attacking will be finished when the animation hits the other event or cooldown, another notify, which is attack cooldown, which calls the attack cooldown function here, then set the boolean back. So that's when we can attack again, because we have a boolean lock in the attack function to lock the boolean. So basically we're flopping a boolean to determine are we on cooldown. If we are not on cooldown, we're okay, right? We set cooldown to true. So to start the cooldown, play the animation triggers in the animation notify to trigger the apply damage, which does the overlapping event, deal damage. And then on the taking damage part, we are reducing health, updating the UI. Down the way at the end, not the end, somewhere in the middle of the animation, we also triggered another animation notify, which is calling attack cooldown, which is set the attack cooldown back to false. And that's basically it. Okay. Now, of course, updating UI will be a blueprint implementable event here. So we're not implementing here at all. The actual implementation is in the blueprint. In the blueprinting here, right? We're basically getting a widget, which is a progress bar. Basically, we're setting its percentage based on our calculation, current health minus max health, which are two variables, right? By the way, should have mentioned that in the beginning, but we have two variables to determine the health and max health, right? And whenever we call update UI, we pass those two informations along, and the UI will update the UI accordingly. That's basically all there is, plus some movement control kind of thing, but there is nothing more than that. Okay, so this works perfectly in the in our single player game when we can attack the other one, and it's gonna just take damage, no problem. Okay, so you can also see that the red box, that's gonna be my overlapping range basically. So we can test the multiplayer by just go to the play button, this drop down list, and we can look for our number of players. I'm gonna change that to 3 players. Okay, now net mode will be play as license server. Okay, that way I'll have the editor to be the server, but also a local player there, or performs as both a server and also hosting a player there, right? And then there will be 2 more windows as remote connected clients. So if I go ahead and play, you can see now I have 3 guys here, right? 1 over here, and then I also have 2 more windows, right? 1 over here, another one over here. So I probably need to put them in there so I can maybe reduce the size of the window here, so I can see all 3 windows. Okay, you can see these 2 are called net mode client, and this one doesn't say anything, but it's actually the server. Okay, I have this dummy one here. Anyway, so now if I try to go ahead and attack the other guys on the server, you can see, well, they works just fine, right? It works okay. But back to the client, however, I don't see my health getting reduced. I see the other guy getting reduced, right? But not this guy. And then if I go ahead and attack the who am I attacking? Maybe the dummy one. No, let's remove the dummy one. So I'll try this again, right? I'm gonna play. And also, I think it's better to have multiple player starts. So let me holding down Alt and drag to have a view copy. Now we can really test it. Alright, so all 3 are there. This one is the server, as you can see, and moving. The movement is okay for a character because that's already taken care of. The template is doing that already. But here, this guy is one of the clients. So let me try to attack the player. You can see I'm able to do that. But I'm only able to do that on my end. You can see now it's only showing the reduced health over here, but not on the server, not on the other client, right? In the eyes of the other client, the server does not really reduce health. And what's more interesting is if I do attack, you can see I'm the only one also playing the animation, right? It's not even playing animation on the other 2 machines. It's only gonna be on this local machine, right? So that's the problem here. Okay, and I think the UI is just too big. Let me change this guy's size to something smaller, like 150 to 20 maybe, and that will be better sized. And that looks better, and the text is too big too. So let me reduce that. 1 maybe it's gonna be enough. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, I have 2 issues. One is the health does not update, right? The health does not update at all on other machines, only on local machine when I'm using the client, of course. Okay, that's one problem. Another problem is I'm not even playing the animation, right? The same goes for here. So goes to the server though. If you do the server one, you can see the server one is not even playing animation on the clients either. And you can see when I'm trying to attack, I do see those health reducing on the server end, right? And it seems like it's kind of like reducing on some level on the other 2, but not exact, right? Some it's like it's working on sometimes, it doesn't work on the other times. So this is kind of like a little weird. Okay, so let's try to tackle those issues one by one. And that's already 9 minutes, just explaining what this project is. In the next video, we're going to talk about how we actually deal with that. Okay, see you next time.